Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be studying about diphtheria, which is important as a short note and a viva question. Moving ahead, it is very easy clinical disorder with a characteristic feature. So it is an infectious disease mainly caused by Corynebacterium diphtheriae. This is the name of the agent. It is very important to remember the name of the agent which leads to diphtheria, that is the Corynebacterium diphtheriae. If you see, it has got local exudate inflammation of the upper respiratory tract. So mainly diphtheria is all related to inflammation of the upper respiratory tract. This is what you need to remember. Also, usually there is a pseudomembrane seen at the level of the nasopharynx. If you see here, these white kind of membranous structures, or I should say the grayish kind of membranous structures which you see are actually the pseudomembranes. Fine. Here also you can see in the figure, these are the pseudomembranes which are formed. Now coming to the microbiology of the organism, Corynebacterium diphtheriae is a gram-positive organism. You know the difference between gram-positive and gram-negative. So this is a gram-positive organism, and then it is non-motile and club-shaped bacillus. Also, when you will keep it on a slide and stain this particular microorganism, and when you will view it under a microscope, it will give you Chinese letter appearance. This appearance here looks like Chinese letter appearance. Okay. Now coming to the clinical feature, the patients have got moderate grade fever. So this is the first thing, that there will be moderate grade fever. Second thing is the tachycardia, and the third thing is the sore throat. Fine. These are the three basic early clinical features which will be seen. Also, there will be formation of a grayish-greenish pseudomembrane on the tonsils which constitute as a diagnostic feature. Now, always remember, whenever I say diagnostic feature, it means that this feature is very, very important. Any diagnostic or characteristic feature is a feature which will help you to determine the disorder. So, you need to remember this by heart, that whenever there is any grayish-greenish appearance or pseudomembrane formation, as in this figure, especially in the tonsil region, you see this is so related to the tonsil region, then it is said to be diphtheria. Okay, this is the first clinical feature we need to remember. Then second, in children, nausea and vomiting can be seen. This is a general feature. Now this again is another characteristic feature. You see this neck part of the girl is so heavy, feels like a bull neck. So in some patients the neck gets swollen up and it imparts like a bull neck. Coming to another points of clinical features, there will be tender lymphadenopathy which will be seen. Another very important feature, if there is infection which is spread to the nasal region also. Okay, so if your infection has reached the nasal region, what will happen? The nasal discharge will now have blood stain discharge in it, or blood stain particles will be there in the nasal discharge itself. This is also important to remember. So whenever your infection is reaching the nasal area, it will have blood stains in it. Hoarseness of the voice, that is, the voice become very, very harsh, or you can say very, very rough. And also there will be cough and respiratory obstruction. That means the patient will find it difficult to breathe. Sometimes because of the infection, there are chances of death. So usually in condition when the patients do not get treatment at proper time, or maybe they are left untreated, so toxemia occurs, due to which death can also happen. Moving ahead to the pathogenesis. Now the pathogenesis is basically the cycle, how it enters to our body and what exactly happens. So now here you need to see that the main portal of entry of the microorganism is the upper respiratory tract. That means that the Corynebacterium diphtheriae enters in our body through the upper respiratory tract. Now as you know that the Corynebacterium diphtheriae is a harmful agent, it is going to cause some inflammation into the upper respiratory tract where it first reaches, and the surrounding areas, that is the nasopharynx and the pharynx. Also initially hyperemia and edema in mucous membrane will be seen. So hyperemia, I have already told you this term, that is redness. So in the mucous membrane, that means in the respiratory tract the mucous membrane becomes red in color. Also edema is there in the mucous membrane. Now in later conditions what happen is the pseudomembrane formation will start. Pseudomembrane formation is the secondary feature here. Okay, initially there will be redness and edema, but in later conditions there will be pseudomembrane formation, which we just saw in the figure near the tonsil area. The membrane is highly fragile and it can easily bleed, and this can be taken to collect bacteria from this membrane for testing. So this particular image where I just made you see that this white or grayish greenish kind of surface you see here is a pseudomembrane. Now this surface is very fragile. It can very easily bleed. So this is also basically the site where we usually take the bacteria sample from, or the test sample from. So this was all about the clinical features and the pathogenesis. Coming to the complications of diphtheria, if you do not treat the diphtheria at time, or if there is any untreated patient left, then what other malignancies can occur is there can be myocarditis, central nerve palsy, renal failure, thrombocytopenia, endocarditis, and skin rashes, which can be seen as a complication. Moving to the diagnosis, how will you diagnose? So as I've just told you, very easy. Whenever you see this white flaky appearance on any pseudomembranous formation in any oral cavity, especially near the tonsil region, you have a doubt, you have a 99% chances are that is going to be diphtheria only. Now other than that, you can also demonstrate the organisms in the blood smear under the blood culture test. So these are the three things we can do. Either we can check for the pseudomembrane formation, or we can go for demonstration of organisms in the blood smear by staining them, or we can go for a blood culture test. Moving ahead to the treatment, the first thing you need to do is that isolate the patient till the next 3 consecutive reports become negative. That is something we commonly have seen in COVID also, that we are supposed to isolate the patients and the 3 consecutive reports should be negative, that 3 forward reports should be negative, so as we can find that the person is fine now. So here also you need to isolate the patients from other members, and you should keep him isolated till his next 3 reports come negative. Then you can, another thing you can do is give him antitoxin diphtheric serum. Now this is also sometimes known as ADS, okay, ADS therapy. Now what you do here is, first of all, this serum is very useful in diphtheria, and it is usually given in 2 doses. So the first dose and the final dose, or you can say the initial dose and the final dose. So the first dose is basically given half hour before we give the final dose. For example, this is the final dose with you. So half hour before giving the final dose, you are going to give your trial dose, or you can say the first dose. Okay. If there is no reaction in the next half an hour, then you can go with your final dose. So why do we do this basically? Why do we do this check? Like, why do we have to give this first dose? To see that no reaction or no side effect is there in the patient, and then we can go with the final dose. And this first dose which we have given is very less in quantity. Coming to the surgical treatment, we can also go for tracheostomy in severe cases where the laryngeal obstruction is present. Now what are the preventions? How can we prevent diphtheria? First thing is, the very first thing we can do is wear mask. That is what commonly we are supposed to do, wear mask. Do not consume contaminated food and water, as they can be a source too. Other than that, the medicament or the medicinal treatment which we have got is immunizing yourself with diphtheria vaccines, which are usually given in 3 doses. The first dose is given at about 1 to 3 months of life. The second dose is given at 1 year as a booster dose, and the third dose is given in 4 to 6 years. So this is what the whole prevention of diphtheria can be done as. So this was all about diphtheria. If this video was useful to you, please share it with your friends also, and let me know your suggestions and comments in the comments section. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.